This is AfriPlus News Channel. Before we begin, kindly like, share, and subscribe for more relevant updates that keep audiences informed about critical issues shaping political conversations across Africa. Today's analysis examines rapidly escalating tensions inside Uganda as the world reacts to the arrest and disappearance allegations involving supporters of opposition figure Bobi Wine ahead of the 2026 presidential election. The developments are raising disturbing questions about governance, political freedoms, and the growing fear that the Ugandan state is tightening control in ways that many international observers describe as deeply alarming. What exactly is happening behind the scenes, and why is global attention focused so intensely on Kampala right now? Stay with us. The arrests of Bobi Wine's supporters in early November 2025, reportedly for simply expressing support for the candidate they intend to vote for, have triggered outrage both inside and outside Uganda. The situation has raised concerns about whether political expression is being criminalized. When supporters of an opposition candidate face detention for participating in political activity, what does that suggest about the direction of the political climate? And how do Ugandans viewing these events interpret the message being sent to those who dare to organize, mobilize, or even express support for alternative leadership?
This is not Museveni's police. This is not a tribal police. That flag does not symbolize any tribe. That flag symbolizes all of Ugandans. Should be ashamed of yourself. Museveni should be ashamed of himself. Byabakama, Mr. Byabakama, you've not come out to talk about the attack. You've not come out to talk about the attack on us by people wearing yellow t-shirts, by people protected by police. You've not come out to talk about that. Cameras showed Muchibi, a police officer, and a group of officers escorting criminals to attack people, throw stones at us. You've not talked about that, but you had time to see when I was going to buy maize and you talked about it. Museveni himself, the criminal that he is, he has not talked about that. He has not talked about the tribal sentiments. He has not talked about the attack in Chiruhura, but he's talking about me and my wife waving to people as if it's as if it's a crime. These people should be ashamed of themselves. To all of you Ugandans, you see what is happening. To the international community, you see what is happening. Dictator Museveni, who has been in power for 40 years, is reading from the same book that all dictators do. Now look what they are doing. We are heading for a rally, waylaid us along the road, beat up our people, pepper sprayed us, and they've arrested dozens of our people. Should be ashamed of yourself, Museveni. Should be ashamed of yourself, Uganda police and the military.
We deplore the intensifying crackdown on the opposition and media in Uganda ahead of next month's general election. It is deeply regrettable that the election campaigns have once again been marked by widespread arbitrary arrests, detentions, and the use of unnecessary or disproportionate force against the opposition, as well as undue restriction of press freedom. We urge the Ugandan authorities to end the pattern of repression, to cease the use of such repressive tactics, and to enable Ugandans to fully and peacefully exercise their right to participate in their country's public affairs on election day and in its aftermath. All individuals arbitrarily deprived of their liberty should be released. The Ugandan authorities must halt all violence against the media and the opposition and act fully in accordance with their obligations under international human rights law.
The United Nations has openly deplored the crackdown on the opposition and has called for investigations into allegations of arrests and disappearances linked to Bobi Wine's supporters. This level of attention from an international body often signals that global actors believe core democratic principles may be under threat. If the UN is calling for accountability, what does that imply about the seriousness of the situation? And how do citizens evaluate the tension between national sovereignty and international concern when human rights allegations begin to rise? The Ugandan government has dismissed some of these concerns, but the growing global scrutiny has placed Kampala under intense pressure. Many observers argue that criticism from the UN typically means the international community believes the political environment is becoming increasingly restrictive. If international bodies perceive danger in the suppression of political activities, How might that influence Uganda's diplomatic relationships? And will this attention empower citizens demanding transparency, or will it deepen internal confrontations? President Yoweri Museveni's reported statement rejecting international media presence, specifically referencing what CNN exposed in Tanzania, has intensified debate. His insistence that such outlets stay away from Uganda has raised questions about why external scrutiny is viewed as a threat.
Those international media sometimes are inciting, especially when African countries are having elections. Next year we will be having general elections here in Uganda. Please tell people like Larry Madowo not to step their feet here. I saw what you did in Tanzania, but I don't want to see you here in Uganda. You will see fire. Stay away.
The Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni is sending a strong warning to a Kenyan journalist, Larry Madowo, who works in CNN, an international media. He has gone ahead and said that Uganda is approaching its major elections. And if Larry Madowo literally loves himself not to even dare step a foot into Uganda. All this happened following what CNN had exposed about Tanzania elections, featuring what Samia Suluhu had done. You all understand the massacre that literally happened in Tanzania. And this is the reason as to why Museveni is sending a strong warning to a Kenyan journalist, saying if he dare steps into Uganda, he will see fire. And we literally don't know which kind of fire that Museveni is talking about, but he has cautioned Larry Madowo, saying that these international medias usually spread propaganda, of which he cannot let it happen in Uganda. You won't believe this, but we all understand that Larry Madowo never even went to Tanzania. No, he just requested for Tanzanians to send first-hand clips for them to do their interrogations.
When a head of state expresses discomfort with independent or foreign media near politically sensitive environments, what does that signal to both supporters and critics? And is the rejection of media oversight a protective measure for stability or a strategy to limit external reporting on potential state misconduct? Critics across East Africa have long accused the Ugandan leadership of consolidating power instead of allowing political competition to flourish. Museveni's many years in office fuel recurring debates about democratic stagnation and political longevity. These concerns resurface each election cycle, especially when opposition groups experience pressure. If a nation's political environment appears to revolve around a single leader for decades, how does that shape public perception of democracy? And how do citizens interpret long-term incumbency when new political voices face significant barriers? The arrest of supporters, combined with restrictions on media access, has amplified fears among civil society groups that the government is tightening its grip ahead of the election. The pattern is drawing comparisons to other states where electoral environments gradually shifted toward reduced freedoms. As citizens examine these developments, they are forced to ask whether this signals an emerging trend of political control or a temporary response to heightened election tension. What do these similarities suggest about the future of political participation in Uganda? And how do Ugandans maintain confidence in the electoral system when intimidation is alleged? Opposition supporters argue that the political landscape has become increasingly hostile, and the arrests are only the latest example. Their concerns reflect a widespread belief that participating in political activities may place individuals at risk. When citizens begin to fear expressing their political preferences, what does that mean for the legitimacy of any upcoming election? And how does this phenomenon affect the trust necessary for a peaceful transfer of power? In conclusion, Uganda's political environment stands at a critical moment. The arrests of Bobi Wine supporters, the UN's intervention, the concerns over media restrictions, and the growing international attention are all shaping a narrative that demands scrutiny. The world is watching, and so are Ugandans who desire a fair, open, and accountable political system. Share your thoughts respectfully in the comment section. Do these developments reflect a deeper structural issue, or are they the result of election period tensions? Your perspective matters, and your engagement strengthens this platform. If you value independent analysis and want to support the work, consider joining our channel membership or giving us a super thanks. Your support allows us to continue producing balanced, in-depth coverage of critical political developments across Africa. Disclaimer: this video is for informational and analytical purposes only. All statements are based on publicly available reports, allegations, and ongoing developments. The analysis does not assert unverified claims as fact and does not intend to defame any individual, government, or institution. Viewers are encouraged to conduct independent research and engage responsibly.